Welcome to My Personal Opinion. My name is JM, and these are my opinions. Today, I want to talk about transcranial magnetic stimulation, also commonly known as TMS. TMS is utilized as a treatment for depression when medications and conventional therapies are proven ineffective. This technique involves applying magnetic stimulation directly to specific areas of the brain that are frequently associated with depression and employs technologies like those used in MRI scans. And the thought is by stimulating specific areas of the brain, TMS promotes the development of new neural pathways, enabling the brain to establish healthier patterns of thinking and behavior, ultimately reducing depressive symptoms and alleviating anxiety responses. Please note I'm not a doctor. I don't even impersonate one on TV. And the information I provide is solely of my own experiences and should never be considered medical advice. It is essential to consult with your healthcare provider for assistance and guidance. So, frankly, I have OCD. I've been diagnosed with it. It's not one of those things where I just throw it off the cuff. Hey, I need this thing on the wall to be straight. I have OCD about it. I'm genuinely got OCD. And I actually am going to do an episode covering that fairly soon, talking about what it is and what it is from my perspective. I also suffer from depression and anxiety. Often these are exacerbated by my OCD and the phobias that are attached to that OCD. One of my most prominent phobias is thanatophobia. It is basically an unhealthy obsession with death and the fear that if there is no afterlife, you just cease to exist forever and ever and ever. And my little brain grabs onto that and holds on as tightly as it possibly can. And the problem is that when you obsess over these thoughts, it can take over your life. It can create fears that are very difficult to break away from. And when OCD and the phobia, your OCD says, what happens if you do cease to exist and you disappear forever and you'll never think or feel or anything ever again. That feeds on your depression, and then it feeds on the phobia, and then the phobia feeds, and it just is this vicious cycle. And it's oftentimes like your brain is just working on it and chewing on it. And after years of trying to deal with this on my own, I've used everything from meditation to mindfulness thinking to different medications and therapies. I had a few major events happen in my life. I tried gastric bypass, which didn't quite work as well as I had hoped. I ended up with COVID-19, which, as a thanatophobe, it scared the heck out of me, especially in a system where everybody's being told over and over again that you're gonna die if you have diabetes and end up with COVID. I lucked out. Fortunately, Paxlovid saved me, but it still freaked me out. And I ended up losing my grandfather, which was somebody who had a major impact in my life. I ended up, dealing with a lot of things all at once. My boss came at me because he felt that there was some performance issues, which that's a whole nother story. And I ended up losing my job over it. Don't think it was quite fair, but that's a whole nother thing. And then finally, I finally just really needed some help. And in a fit of desperation and an attempt to keep level headed while I go looking for another job, I decided to try two different therapies, ketamine and TMS. My initial focus right now is the TMS. The ketamine will be added later, and I'll even have some episodes discussing ketamine. I'm also looking into psilocybin studies. There's a lot of great stuff about psychedelics and, frankly, dealing with depression. It's just the thing. And we'll talk more about that as those parts start to come into place. But for right now, TMS, which has the longest effect, if it works well with your particular situation, lasts longer than ketamine or some of those others. So it's trying to look at the different options that are available. And for me, probably, I'm a technologist, so TMS also had its extra because it's a technology. I think it was probably meant to be, but that's where I'm headed for now. And this video, as of this video, I am 1 week into TMS. I plan to do a once a week video on my experiences. I'll talk about what it feels like, whether there's changes, whether things are getting better, how I'm progressing. I have 36 treatments to do. I'm five in now, so about 31 treatments. It's a daily thing. I go every like 10:30 to go have this procedure done, and I just get a break on the weekends. This will run until about July 17th. Aside of, like I said, 5 treatments have been officially done. The first day was about an hour, which include mapping of my brain. It sounds more impressive than it is. They're really just basically, they put a special cap on my head. It has some measurements printed on it. And then they have me put in some foam earplugs, and they start firing the pulses into your brain. What they're doing is they're looking for the motor control area of your brain, and they're looking for your fingers to move a little bit. So they're trying to find where that motor function is. Once they hit it, it actually causes your fingers to move. So they were staring at my right hands as they were adjusting it, finding the pulses. And once they found the right spot, they took those measurements and got into a position that would stimulate what they call the dorsal lateral prefrontal cortex. That's the target for the daily treatments. They're trying to hit that. So they look for the motor function, and they apparently know from that how to angle from there to make sure they hit that prefrontal cortex area. They gave me a mouth guard to prevent me from grinding my teeth, and then they began the first session, which takes about 20 minutes. Noise-wise, it's not bad. The earplugs did work. I think that was more just because the machine is right on my head, but my wife was sitting right next to me, and she didn't seem to mind the noise. It didn't feel loud. It wasn't something where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so thankful I have the headphones or the earphones, but I don't know. I mean, it's better to be safe than sorry. So I was glad it was there. As for how it felt, that's the weird part, is that it feels physical. It feels like something is just rapidly tapping right here on your temple. It's just boom, 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 really fast. Matter of fact, a lot of people describe it as like having a little woodpecker tapping on the side of your head. It was annoying, but it wasn't painful, and I felt sore, but it wasn't bad. What helps is it's not continuous. The taps repeat rapidly for a few seconds, and then there's a pause for 20 seconds, and then it repeats again. And so this happens for the 20-minute cycle. It's quick taps, a break for 20 seconds, quick taps, a break for 20 seconds. And here it is in action. So beyond a sore temple, I didn't feel much different mentally the first day. I was told to expect it to take some time. It may even take a few weeks before you actually start to feel the effects. But, afterwards, I mostly was just tired. I've been told that because the thing is messing with your brain, basically, your brain can become stimulated and then tired. And I fell asleep as soon as I got home. I was very mentally exhausted, and I slept pretty well. My wife had to pull me back out because I had to go get our son. But other than that, I didn't feel much different mentally. I just felt tired. That night, I had a really good sleep. I fell asleep and slept like a baby. It was really a decent sleep. Probably the first good sleep I've had in a while. So while there hasn't been a huge change in my state as far as depression and anxiety, overall, I think I must be something that makes it so I can at least sleep better. The following 8 sessions were more of the same. They were what they're doing is slowly increasing the power. They're trying to do it so it doesn't hurt. I assume that because it's messing with the muscles and the nerves in the area, that if they hit you too hard too quickly, it would cause some pain. So they do it slowly to get to the target of the target power that they'd like, that's supposed to do the actual work. One of the things that did worry me, especially doing some of the research. Yes, I'm OCD, so I did a lot of research on this. There's a concept of a TMS dip. The idea is that you could start to feel good the first week, maybe even 2 weeks, and things start to feel good, and then you can have a pretty substantial drop where suddenly you're right back to that, if not even worse, with those depressive episodes. Um, I've heard 20 to 30% of people experience this dip. And frankly, I don't know if this is what I'm experiencing, but on Saturday of that week after the therapy, I did crash Saturday and Sunday. Kind of got a little better Monday, leveled off. Didn't have a session Monday today when I'm recording this because, of course, Memorial Day. So, I'm hoping that this starts to ramp back up and we start to get in a good place soon. It's hard because you're dealing with depression and you're doing a tool that you hope helps you with depression. And if this is the dip, I have to operate on the kind of, frankly, faith that it's going to get better and spin up and do some great things. I've seen a lot of cool images, not of my head, but of others, where they showed before depression, where there's a lot of dark spots in the brain, and after depression, where those spots are lit up. And so the theory is that it opens a lot of new pathways and activities, and your brain can sit there and just look for better patterns and better ways to handle situations. I know a question a lot of people will have is, what is the success rate of TMS? Well, the best I've found is about a range of between 70 and 85%. To be frank, chemicals like Prozac and some of the other antidepressants are much lower. They can be in the 50s, if that. So it is a higher rate of success, but it doesn't work for everybody. It really comes down to how your brain reacts and responds. It's very independent and very personal. So here's hoping it works. Like I said, I'm every week. At the end of each week, I plan to give an update on where things are. And again, if I start the ketamine treatment, I may do that separately. But I do know that they said if I do the ketamine, they have to remap my brain, as the chemical response from ketamine could make shifts to their target location. So I'll see if I can record that session as well. There was some debate on whether or not I could record anything at all, and out of respect for the people there, I just politely asked, hey, could I record this? And I was able to get the one recording the second day. So there it is. This is my personal opinion. And if you like what you're hearing, feel free to like and subscribe and comment, because it's going to be all over the place. I called it my personal opinion because it's an opinion, many different opinions on many different subjects, but one that is important to me is mental health. And I think the stigma of mental health and being transparent from my perspective, I hope helps others, because everybody should feel comfortable in being able to go get the help that they need. So if you like it, please like and subscribe, and feel free to comment down below. I'm JM, and this is my personal opinion. Have a great day.